So here we are back at it again with Linux Multimedia Studio 1.313, that is. And I'm going to show you something a little bit different today. I'm going to show you guys a good sound font pack of which I've been using recently, which I know for a fact has been used in several games made in the early 2000s, late 90s, and that is the Symphony Hall by Yamaha. As you can see right here, I've got the actual instruments themselves from the Soundbank, and I'm going to show you from my files. Yes, Yamaha Soundbank right there. But I'm actually going to show you what they sound like, which I thought, yeah, this is pretty cool. So, I was just streaming. Yeah, you get all of these to listen to, which is pretty nice. But I'm going to show you, give you an example of what they are used for. We're going to be going over the most of these have been used for, and that is, if you didn't know, RuneScape. The actual composer, Ian Taylor, who used this Soundbank, used it pretty prevalently. In fact, this was used quite a bit. So I'm going to make up this familiar tune, kind of like the chords he used. So kind of get a glimpse of what you're kind of going to be listening and seeing through my little demonstration here. It's not really much of a tutorial of what I'm showing you. It's more or less kind of opening your mind of what possibilities are out there for you. And realizing that, yeah, there is a lot out there to experiment, especially with LMMS. Just because it's open source and it doesn't cost a couple $100 doesn't mean you can't make good music. And that shows something I've done for 10 years. But I'm not slandering Ableton or FL Studio or Magix or Logic. I am simply just stating what I've used and something that's free. And I've put it to good use, you know. Granted, it's not the highest quality, but you kind of get what you got and you work with it. So, now I'm going to play you some of that trumpet that you hear of RuneScape from the newbie melody quite a bit. Which, experimenting with it, it was pretty neat. And I was pretty happy to work with it. Yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit. Like, my mind was opened when I found this Yamaha Symphony Hall. But I'm also going to be using it inspired by Dinosaur Planet. I used to have it on Instagram where I posted this stuff. As you can see, it kind of carries over. This is how the actual measurements are made for those who wanted to do this yourself. But the tune in itself is pretty simple. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of effort put into the newbie melody. But it does have a lot of nostalgia to it, which I'm actually pretty happy that I can recreate. Who knows, I can even take the Soundbank and make my own music as though I made it for the game. But who knows, I'll see where I go from here. But yeah, I'll have a little bit more to show you. And eventually I will show you some other stuff like the Drynar Mariner that works with the harp, all other stuff, and French horns used in Varrock, and the PC88 Maricado strings, which is used pretty prevalently in RuneScape, that Ian used in the whole soundtrack for the game itself. But other than that, you know, aside from that, there's really not much else to cover that I can't just tell you guys in tutorials. But yeah, so we've broken down Monstro. We've kind of given you a little bit of a summary of what the Yamaha Symphony Sound Hall Bank is. But we will eventually show you how to actually make good music with that and work with effects. Like, there's more than just playing the instruments. There's also going back and forth with the automation track and kind of making things fade in like he did. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't researched on what exact audio workstation he did, digital audio workstation he used, but as for me, I use LMMS, and I'm pretty happy with what I've done with it. Granted, I could do more, and I'm still adapting. I probably could use something like FL Studio. I mean, I'm not so sure if I wanted to go with that part, or I'd probably go better with Ableton. I've heard so many good things, and it's a lot cheaper than FL Studio. So yeah, I was glad that you guys got to listen a little bit. So feel free to go back in the videos and subscribe, check out the other stuff, and until then, see you next update.